Getting this legendary weapon is a nightmare in Fallout 4 because it lies underground in a treasure vault guarded by a laser tripwire corridor, and the town's inhabitants are now all feral ghouls. In fact, it's probably one of the largest concentrations of feral ghouls in the whole of the Commonwealth. But this unique legendary effect lets you fire enemies into the sky like you've scored a home run, and that never gets boring. So here's how you can get this weapon for yourself, along with a few other secrets that you might have missed along the way. Firstly, you're going to need to head all the way to the southeast side of the map, below Diamond City, to the charming town of Jamaca Plains, which is just here. Now, if we zoom in on the location, you'll see an overpass just to the east. And I recommend that you enter this location from that east road where I am. You can see the overpass right behind me here, and this is a great spot to start culling the 30 or so ghouls that are roaming the streets before you begin gathering the clues to solve the mystery of the Jamaca Plains treasure. I'd recommend using the Overseer's Guardian or the Spray and Pray to take out all the ghouls here. I've already got guides on how you can get both of those weapons linked below, right at the start of the game. Also, our two dogs are keeping the ghouls at bay while we gun them down. But once we've cleared out the ghouls on the east entrance to town, we can continue down the road to the concrete barrier here, where you're going to find the body of Carl, who actually has the Jamaca Plains Town Hall key on his body, and we will need this later. But if we also read Carl's log with your Pip-Boy, you'll learn about how he was putting a team together to rob the town's secret vault. And in the September log, you'll discover the location of that vault, and it will start a miscellaneous quest to access the treasure. But there's a few more things we need to do first before we should go to the vault. Firstly, we're going to head down the road to the east from Carl's body towards the orange car. And the last house on the left here, which was also infested with ghouls that I've already killed to make this video faster for you guys to watch. But we're going to go upstairs inside this building, because at the top floor we're going to find two treasure hunters who had their last stand in the next room here. Right next to the wall, we're going to find Tanya and Ken Standish. Now, Ken has the Jamaca Plains Archives key, and a rather rare outfit that you can also loot from his body, along with a bunch of ammunition. And now we can head back to Carl's body, and if for some reason you got lost, the location is right here on the map. But now we're going to head back to Carl's body, here by the concrete barrier. But this time we're going to go west up the main street and towards the wooden church. Literally the tallest building in town, you can't miss it. It's got a bright red door. But currently that door is chained from the other side. So in order to get inside, we're going to need to access it through the building on the right of the church, this red house here. Just go inside and go all the way upstairs to the rooftops. And if you guys are finding this video helpful so far, please do leave a like on it because it really helps support the channel. And by the way, this roof is also a great spot to shoot down the feral ghouls from a safe distance if you're getting overwhelmed. Then we're going to jump through the church's broken roof to access the balcony. You can kind of drop down and to the right so you don't break your legs. And then you can just take the stairs to the bottom floor of the church. And it's here, right near the church's entrance, sitting on a wooden pew, where you're going to find Luke Silverhand, who is carrying the Jamaca Plains Mayor's ID. Now, you can also read his notes to discover that he was actually planning on letting the other hunters get themselves killed on the laser tripwires so he could claim the treasure for himself later. So he was just planning to sit it out here until they did the work for him. But now we will be the ones to claim the glory. We can head outside the church, opening the chain door, and then we can go to the west side of Jamaca Plains, where you're going to find the town hall just through the buildings here and around the bus. There's a big copper statue at the entrance, and it's like the biggest building in town, so it's quite obviously the town hall. And if we go up the stairs and straight ahead through this wooden door, we can then find the staircase to the next floor, where you'll find a boss level steamer trunk in the next room. So go ahead and loot that, but much more importantly, you're also going to find the Jamaca Plains Mayor's password, which is on Sal's body. Now, Sal also has a full set of leveled combat armor that you can take as well. And if you want a full set of heavy combat armor, check out my other guide that I'll link in the description below. It is one of the better armor sets in the game, aside from power armor, that you can actually get very early on. But after looting Sal, we can drop down into the mayor's office, and if we unlock his terminal with the password we just got, we can then disengage the lock on his safe, which is one of the options here. And the safe itself is located on the wall opposite the terminal, and it contains some valuables for you to loot. But the real treasure is located downstairs in the basement. And we can already open it with the town hall basement key that we got earlier. So head down the stairs into the basement, then go around the rubble into the speech room where the mayor gave his speech with all the chairs here. Now there's actually a couple of ways you can progress now, especially if you got all the keys I showed you earlier. The easiest way and the safest way is just to go to the left using the Jamaica Plains archive key to open the blue door, and then turn right and go through the hole in the brick wall, which will then lead you to a shortcut that goes straight into the security room. Alternatively, starting again from the speech room, we can turn right this time and we can find a deadly laser corridor just down here. Now if you try and walk down here, you will activate all of the laser turrets, which will burn you alive very quickly, so do not do that. Well, it's not recommended. Also, a word of warning, if you brought your companion, they can also get you killed very easily by just wandering into the very bright lasers, like a deer in headlights. So instead, we can actually use the mayor's ID card, which we found earlier on in the video, to turn off the security by just swiping it. Then we can freely pass through the death corridor and into the next security room. But before you do that, a third option is to actually save the game and then manually disarm all of the laser tripwires yourself, because each one of them gives you one fiber optics, crystal and steel each. So there's 50 of these laser tripwires in total, and this is actually the best source of crystal and fiber optics in the game. So looting all this is going to be great for upgrading your weapons for the rest of the playthrough. But you have to be very careful because it's very easy to accidentally put your knee over one of the tripwires as you're slowly disarming them all, which will then set off all the laser traps. But once you get to the end of the corridor with all that loot, you can now head into the security room and use the security terminal. And with this, we can unlock the door ahead with the mayor's password, which we obtained earlier. Then we can just smash the like button right ahead to unlock the treasure vault, which apparently costed the town $36 million to build. My goodness. Now the room itself is a 2076 time capsule, full of memorabilia of old technology, paintings and drawings and things like that. But the funny thing is that this just is a bunch of junk to us as the player. And it's very easy to miss the normal looking wooden baseball bat on the right as you come through the door. But this is in fact the treasure of the vault, a legendary baseball bat, the 2076 World Series bat in fact, which has a legendary effect of sending enemies into space. But right now it's actually quite a weak weapon, so we can upgrade it to make it much more powerful. The first option is going to be to change the material of the baseball bat, and you can firstly just change the color from black, blue, gray, red, mahogany, cedar, and they all do the same damage. So instead, let's upgrade it to aluminium to boost the damage even further. And for the second upgrade, we can modify the bat with the shock puncturing rockets. Could you imagine tying a rocket launcher onto the side of a bat just so you can swing it harder into someone's cranium? That's a pretty wild modification, but as you can see, this boosts the weapon's base damage and also gives it energy damage as well. In fact, the best part of it is that it now has a chance to stun the enemy. So those harder hitting foes would just sort of stay there frozen while you just wail on them with the baseball bat. If they somehow survive the initial base damage of the weapon, because my goodness, is it high. It also now has a higher chance to cripple the target's limbs as well. Not to mention the legendary effect which sends enemies flying into the sky. Now, according to the wiki, there is an 8% chance for this to happen, but it seems to be much rarer in my experience. That said, the higher your luck skill, the further they will go when you actually do trigger this effect. You can also hit multiple targets with one swing of the weapon, even triggering the Big Leagues perk and knocking off multiple heads in one go, which is pretty funny to witness. So despite its slow melee weapon swing, it is very fun to use, and you can indeed deal with big crowds of enemies using it. However, the biggest mistake you can make now that you have the rarest baseball bat in Fallout 4 is to sell it to Mo in Diamond City, just here on the map. If you come to his stall in the Diamond City marketplace, you can actually tell him that you found a World Series bat. And interestingly, the logo is only visible when you are upgrading the weapon. It doesn't appear in any other way. And Mo is initially going to offer you 200 caps to buy this weapon. He claims that there's very few collectors, and so 200 caps is a good offer. But if you pass a speech check over and over and over again, he will eventually offer you 400 caps for it. Now, I say that like it's a lot of caps, but it's definitely not worth it, especially considering the amount of effort we went to get it. What is worth it though is checking out this next series of unique items you may have missed hidden all over Fallout 4's Commonwealth. I will see you guys in the next one.